All right. So here we go, Kate. We are in business here. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, guys, welcome back to the Trauma Therapist Podcast. I am very excited to have on this day back again, Kate Hudgins. Kate, welcome back.
Thank you, Guy.
All right. So Kate is an inspirational leader and a stellar trainer known worldwide for her innovative model of safe and effective trauma treatment. Recognized as an international expert and author on trauma, Kate brings rigorous clinical training in psychology, psychodrama, and experiential psychotherapy, as well as cross-cultural and indigenous learning and her own life experience. Along with Francesco Toscani, Dr. Kate has developed, refined, and taught the therapeutic spiral model, the healing method for survivor of trauma. She's done that in 35 countries and counting. She has been an experiential psychotherapist and trainer for more than 40 years, bringing spontaneity, creativity, and healing to people who've experienced trauma in many settings. And recently, all of your certification courses are up online. We'll have those linked up at the show notes page here at the Trauma Therapist Podcast. Kate, welcome back. What is going on with all of this?
Yes.
We're speaking now, we're in the midst of COVID-19, this outbreak and managing. So I brought you back to kind of speak to this within the context of the therapeutic spiral model in a sense. But before we dive in, just give it, how are you, first of all?
Okay. Well, I live in Charlottesville, Virginia, and even though our trauma was a race riot 18 months ago, in general, we're a very small university town. All the kids went home after spring break. I really wouldn't know a lot was going on if I was just at home.
Mm-hmm.
I have people I know in New York. One person's in the hospital, one person's come off of a vent. So, I'm close to people, but it's kind of a very weird dichotomy to be sitting in my living room or, now trying to move more of my stuff online and changing where I work in my home. And, I don't travel now right now for work. I was supposed to go to England and Croatia, and that got canceled. But in general, I am taking the TSM way, which is to look at everything through post-traumatic growth and our post-traumatic growth pie, and to always believe that spontaneity and creativity are the pivotal agent of change. And remember, spontaneity is an adequate response to a new situation. So we certainly have a new situation.
Mm-hmm.
We've never faced anything like this before.
Right.
So how are you?
Thanks for asking. I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay as well as I can with two kids at home full time, 4-year-old and 11-year-old.
Well,
But my wife and I are braving things. Fortunately, she's able to work. We're both able to work, which is fortunate. But she goes out. But we're doing well.
and
We're
then you're
doing well.
in California, right?
Yeah, we're in Oakland, California.
Yeah. So
So,
you've abided by shelter in place for a
oh
while.
yeah, it's been going on here for a while now. And last time we spoke, I was all in with what,
Yep.
I was, so we're going to continue with that.
Yes. Well, so we have a little psychodrama stage here. And one of the reasons I've moved my space is so we can have a better picture of that.
Okay.
And so I want to remind you where we were, and then I want to do
Okay.
a teaching.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Before we do that, can I ask you to just give us, those listeners, kind of a brief snapshot of what therapeutic spiral model is, what psychodrama is in general? We can dive in from there.
absolutely. Well, like I said, that in any form of psychodrama, and TSM psychodrama is specifically to treat trauma, any type of psychodrama, the curative aspect of things is spontaneity and creativity.
Mm.
It is not insight. It is not anything else other than that you find the adequate resources inside yourself to meet whatever the new situation is. And, J.L. Moreno, the founder of psychodrama, wrote a wonderful book called Who Shall Survive? And his answer was the people that will survive are the spontaneous and the creative. And if there was ever a time for psychodrama to, bring itself back into its full glory, this is the time, because this is really
Mm-hmm.
what psychodrama was created for, to teach people, not to go into the trauma spiral. That's what TSM is about. Don't go into the trauma spiral. Use your resources. Stay up.
Mm-hmm.
Stay adequate. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to be stellar. You don't have to be making huge marks. Just be adequate. Like, staying at home with 2 kids, like being
Mm-hmm.
adequate. That's a
Mm-hmm.
whole new situation.
Mm-hmm. So just to be clear, I think it was a couple months ago, I think someone had emailed me and was talking about psychodrama, and they were like, well, isn't psychodrama making the person reenact the trauma by putting them on a stage? And
Right, right. Well, I think what you know from the past interviews, that what therapeutic spiral model is, it's about taking classical psychodrama and shifting it just enough clinically so that people are not re-traumatized. So yes, early days in psychodrama, people were beating chairs with the patakas. There was lots of over catharsis, because that was what was known at the time.
mm-hmm.
Now we know that damages or, intrudes or hurts the brain because it recreates the trauma. So, what we did last time, you and I did, is we did your prescriptive roles, because therapeutic spiral model is a 3-stage model of treatment, or a prevention or post-traumatic growth. We always start from the view of post-traumatic growth. At any trauma, even right now, the acute nature of COVID, we are already experiencing post-traumatic growth. It's not that we have to wait, it's that it's
Mm-hmm.
already there. And that's that essence of spontaneity and creativity that comes from psychodrama. So I hope that was a quick and dirty that
Yeah,
gave.
yeah. Let's do it. Thank you for that.
Yeah, so take us back. So your prescriptive roles, and I wish I did have my little, extra thing, but I'll bring, so you remember you picked this guy to be yourself, to be your protagonist.
Okay.
He was kind of a music guy, and so you picked him. Right. And then what we did is I asked you to pick some strengths just to, connect with yourself. And you picked this figure that was supposed to be like kind of a spiritual transpersonal voice.
Okay.
And do you remember what we ended up calling that role? I don't, whether it was the voice of wisdom but it was some spiritual voice.
I don't, frankly, remember
So what would it be
what I
today?
ended up calling him.
What's your spiritual voice today? And is this still the right object, or do we need to find a different object? Because this is a time you need your spiritual voice.
I like wise mind.
Wise, I think, yes, I think it was a wise
I
mind.
like that. I like that. I'll go with that.
And same figure, okay?
Yeah, that'll work.
All right. So do you remember that when you put wise mind in to begin with, and I asked you to become wise mind, you immediately started to doubt yourself.
Mm,
Like
probably true.
you didn't feel the connection between yourself and wise mind, even though we put them on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
And that became your prescriptive role drama. And
Okay.
so what we did was we came up with the tree. Well, actually, you got a body double first. So a body double is a specific TSM role that helps you stay in your body. So we did a little breathing. We'll do a little
Mm-hmm.
today. But
Right.
I don't know if you remember, but the most important thing is you were talking to what became doubt at one point, the little green stone
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
that was making
Yep.
you
Yep. It's
doubt
coming
your
back.
connection, doubt your connection with spirituality. And so you actually came down here to talk to it, and you fell down. And the message was, get up, get up. And so I took the body double role and said, I can get up. I can get up. Do you remember what happened?
I
What
think
happened?
so.
Yeah, you jumped right back up there. And that was, where we ended your prescriptive role drama, which was you had at least one transpersonal strength. You had the body double, which is a containment technique. And then you had this we called your manager of defenses. You pick something to contain
Mm.
the doubt. And the
Mm-hmm.
doubt's just like sitting there right in the base of the tree, so it's supposed to be zenning out, if it will.
Okay.
All right, so that's where we left you last time. And now, it's been what, 6, 8 weeks since we've talked. a lot's happened in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I would imagine for us to even start to talk about the trauma triangle in your personal experience of it, which I've always appreciated you sharing, that you need to have an extra strength. So the three categories of strengths are internal strengths, interpersonal strengths. Like you talked about your wife, you could pick somebody to play your wife. Of course, it would be your idealized wife, not your real wife. Um, or, somebody in a book, a hero in a movie, or it can be another transpersonal strength. So what would we add that you...
Well, I like the idea of internal strength,
Hmm,
because
right.
I feel I need that during this time.
Uh-huh. Mhm.
Um,
And I think we did actually end up, now that we're remembering it, that confidence was kind of the outcome of this drama. That as you
mm-hmm,
stood here, you felt confident.
mm-hmm.
So let me just tilt this a little bit more, and you can see if you can find something that might be confidence. These are all stones, and these are all shells and natural things.
Mm-hmm.
You have just
Mm-hmm.
different. But what would be something that would concretize confidence for what? Before it was like the confidence to go forward. That was what
Well,
jumped up.
I think confidence in my own, like self-trust,
Self-trust.
like
Okay.
self-belief, confidence in that, like a certain just confidence in my beingness. So I like the idea of a rock.
Rock. Okay. So we
Yeah.
actually have many rocks.
Okay.
You can have a dark rock. You can have a brown rock. You
Do you
can
have any kind of like non-polished rocks?
let me see. Yes, I do. I have one, a
There
non-polished.
we go. Boom. I like that.
All right. Okay. So
Yep.
this is self-trust.
Self self-belief, self-trust, kind of, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. So in front of you, beside you, down by your defense, up on that balcony.
I
Where does
think right by my feet in a sense.
that's
Yeah.
I felt
Yeah.
by your feet, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I like that.
So take your feet right now, because if you were on the stage, you would be now embodied in this. So just feel your feet and move them around a little. Just so you actually really feel your feet.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to body double you. Remember, that's I speak in a positive way, and if I'm right, you say the things in your own words. If I'm wrong, you correct it. So I'm just going to help you like feel the self-trust more, right? So I'm breathing. I feel my feet on the floor in the place I live in where I can trust myself. I have a breath. So I feel like I can receive self-trust. What do I want to say to it as I receive it? It's right there at my feet. I can touch my toes to it.
Well, I like that idea of feeling as though I can receive it, because I feel like I oftentimes don't feel that I can receive it. Like I'm not, I don't know, I don't want to say worthy of it, but it just seems like I don't believe it in a sense.
Oh dear, I just got out from under the tree. I'm
Right. Yeah. There's
back
a doubt is alive and well.
I just pattern. You were trying to get something good, and I jumped right in there and I interrupted you getting something good again. I'm
Oh
so
boy.
good at my job.
Yeah. Yeah. Doubt's very, very alive, huh?
So do you want to talk to me, or do you want to put me back to the tree and like try to take in the good things?
I want to put doubt back respectfully.
Respectfully, I will put it back there.
Yeah. I appreciate doubt, but
I will tell it I appreciate you, and I don't need you right now.
right.
All right, so get those toes moving again. All right, because
Yeah.
toes are going to touch stone. All right, so you can feel the toes touching the stone. That's all you have to do right now. It's not about accepting some big, greater
Hmm.
concept. It's just about, Yeah, I'm sure in California you hike, you do things that you get out there, your feet, get on the earth, they get in the stones, you know what that feels.
Right.
We use the surplus reality, another psychodrama term, the imaginal realm, to
Mm-hmm.
bring back senses, information that we had stored in our brain that, in this time of isolation, we can bring back so we can still feel toes touching the stone. Okay, so now I want you to go further. I want you to roll reverse and be the self-trust.
Mm.
Okay, so remember how you just move your chair a little bit one way or the other, so it's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
all right.
Right.
So
Yep.
I'm going to hold this up, and you're going to be this stone talking to this guy. And this guy is still like struggling with that self-doubt, and he can't really get on with what needs to be done with COVID if he's spending
Mm-hmm.
time even like struggling to get in touch with his groundedness and his self-trust. I mean, so like self-trust needs to say something to him, wake him up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel um I guess I would ask,
I do ask.
I'm asking,
Asking.
where's the hesitancy? Why are you not accepting me? Like, what's getting in the way of you uh receiving me?
What's bigger than the doubt? That's what you're really asking him. What's bigger than the doubt?
Well, the doubt is, you're letting the doubt, you know, prevent you from accepting me as self-trust.
So you're telling him he has more power than he's using.
Right.
Say
Right.
those words, like, help him know he has the choice. And tell him how important it is today. Like, this is not a time to be messing around.
Right. 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 Yeah. I mean, part of me wants to grab you by the neck and just say, wake up, you
Oh,
know?
well, maybe we'll bring in the wake up a bit, huh? Come on,
Yeah. Yeah.
wake up. You got this stone right here. You got this earth you can walk on. That's your, like, step on it.
Right. Right. Yeah. It just, I mean, I'm talking now as self-trust. I mean, I just feel like you need to allow me to come in, you know, um, and that's going to mean you're going to, accept the imperfections of your spontaneity and creativity, but feel the energy behind all of that.
Accept your humanity.
Right. Right. I mean, I feel that, right. The doubt almost feels as though it prevents pain. It tries to prevent fear. And I think those things are getting in your way. And there's so much power, I feel, behind this self-acceptance, the self-trust in a sense.
Yeah, so I'm going to put the figures down for a moment because you just said something really important to yourself. And what you said is that the doubt really is a defense. And you said it was a defense against fear. And what was the other feeling?
Pain,
Pain.
pain.
Right. And this is a time in our country that we've had more fear than we've ever had in our lives. It's a time we've, maybe had more pain or will have more pain than we've ever had in our generation. And so, what can you say to this doubt to just really kind of put it in its place so we can see how you can marshal your resources towards something good?
I would say to doubt
I,
that I say to doubt that, I respect you and you have certainly have your voice and certainly have your place and your time.
you
But
even
now,
You're kind of shining and pretty. It haunts me for quite
Right.
a
But now is a time for you to step aside, and I need to bring in self-trust. It needs to claim its spot, in a sense, to claim its voice.
So are you ready to actually like even take it off your stage?
Doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can put it down more.
So we'll put it down here on.
There you go.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you gain this strength because it doesn't have to be paying attention to doubt so much.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the strength of being able to manage things with good coping skills, not with trying to prevent fear
Right.
and prevent pain.
Yeah. That's oof,
Mm.
that's that really hits home with me, man. That's really reflective of a lot, you know, that doubt getting in the way and preventing me from feeling pain or feeling fear.
It's a familiar thing.
Totally. Very familiar.
So what I'd like to do is like, I know you're kind of emotionally warmed up, and I just heard you paying attention to your kid.
I'm gonna have to edit that out.
Beautiful to have it there. It's reality. And so I do want to teach you about how we talk about trauma and the three trauma roles, and then kind of end with you seeing how you could take the feeling you have right now, of being in self-trust, of being surrounded by a wise voice, of having a good management skills, and just make some short little thing at the end of our drama that you feel good about.
Okay. Kate, I lost your voice for a little bit. Just, it was very low.
I'll try to talk up
There we
louder.
go. There we go.
Thank you. So in TSM, we have the trauma triangle. And if I was, good, I'd have a little screen sharing and I'd have a little, cute thing up there to show you what the trauma triangle is. But instead, I'm going to move you to the side of the stage. We're going to take the doubt further down, and we're going to put your whole prescriptive role. Remember that's all these strengths. So personal, interpersonal, transpersonal, body double. Those are all prescriptive roles. That means you have enough strength to go forward to face the trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Until we dealt with that little repetitious pattern of what you were doing with doubt, we couldn't really go further than that and keep it safe. Like that's the thing that used to happen in psychodrama, is people would just like push right past the defenses.
Mm-hmm.
And then it would be like, oh, you'd be way overexposed, you'd be out of control with your affect. And, we don't do that in TSM.
Right.
What we do is we say, so many people know the addiction trauma, the addiction triangle from Cartman. And it's victim, perpetrator, and rescuer. And that's basically an interpersonal dynamic that, I feel like a victim, I see perpetrators, I am a perpetrator, and I try to rescue people. It's
Mm-hmm.
a whole interpersonal dynamic. Well, what we've done with the other difference between classical psychodrama and TSM psychodrama is classical psychodrama does deal with interpersonal relationships. Whereas what we do is we deal with internal relationships with the self.
Mm.
Because we believe if your self isn't in the right balance, then you're automatically going to have trouble in your interpersonal relationships. So, it's like come back to yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got three roles. The first is there is the perpetrator. Okay, in this case, I'm picking this to be COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so we put that at the apex of the triangle because that's kind of like the power thing crushing in.
Okay.
Then we have the victim, and that's over here on that side. So boom, the energy can go that way. The difference between all other triangles in all forms of addiction and trauma retreatment and TSM is that we have the abandoning authority. And that what that means is that when you've experienced trauma, and like some of people are experiencing trauma right now, that we are being abandoned. Whether we're being abandoned by, social distancing, or we're being abandoned by our family, or we're being abandoned by our government. But it's like there's always some abandoning authority, or a trauma wouldn't happen. And so that's unique, because what happens is the abandoning authority, it looks away from the trauma. It dissociates, it drinks, it smokes, it does everything to kind of stay away.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you think about, when a kid is sexually abused, if the parent that wasn't sexually abused stopped it, there would have been no abuse.
Right.
If domestic violence, somebody is calling the police, even if the victim can't, the abuse is going to stop. So kind of the question for us right now is like, well, what is the appropriate authority? And like, where do we trust people? And so I really like that you come back to that right now. One of your strengths is trusting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we do with this trauma triangle is just ask you to put a little voice to each of those roles. If we were in a psychodrama room, a theater, we would actually walk the triangle on the
Mm-hmm.
and kind of just talk out loud and see how these roles live inside. And so, you and I are kind of working at two levels. There's a fairly deep personal level, I feel, and you having the ahas about the doubt and the repetition
Mm-hmm.
pattern. And then I'm asking you to kind of, take it up to the social level,
Right.
dealing with COVID-19. So, I'll be with you whichever way you go with it.
Okay.
But let's start with this voice. So role reverse with the perpetrator in this moment. What's it saying to you or to the world? Or is it, who is it talking to? Is it talking to you, or is it talking to the world? What's the voice of that?
Well, it feels like both. The voice, it feels like um,
Take a breath. The body.
yeah.
Yeah, just hear that voice. What's it saying? Is it toward you, toward other people, the world?
I'm interpreting it. It's funny. It's not funny, but it's funny. I'm interpreting it as a bully.
Fully voice.
Yeah, because it feels like it has control, or I'm giving it control.
Or maybe it has control.
Right, or both. That's I guess how I'm interpreting this. Um,
Stop interpreting, because remember, that's not the curative agent.
okay.
And spontaneity into saying the voice with the voice tone you hear it. Take the surplus reality and put it out on the stage.
You're under my control. I have control.
A little more, if you're willing. Breathe and just let yourself hear, and just say another line or two, or choose not to. That's okay.
Um,
Or just say those again.
I have control over you. Um,
Period.
period. Yeah.
Really isn't much more for the world to say. Right. So that takes us to the victim place. And we start out calling it the victim in TSM, but we like to eventually move it into the wounded self, because victim can be so pejorative.
Mm-hmm.
But you could see that voice, bring it up here so it's closer, actually just said to this voice something that was pretty terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
So what does this wounded voice say when it hears? Whether it's in relationship to the virus, it's in relationship to the self. I've got you under control.
Mm. The first thing that came to my mind was not again.
Oh, right. Huh. Yeah.
um,
Yeah, that's that
Part of me, and I think this is my dichotomy, part of me is like, oh my God, not again. But the other part is like, okay, bring it on.
right. And that's where we go back to the prescriptive roles. Because it's like not again would be to stay on the trauma triangle.
Mm-hmm.
Again would be to now abandon yourself and go, not again, not again, not again. Oh, there's nothing I can do about it. It always comes back. Like,
Right.
oh, like what does that abandoning voice say to you right now when it goes from not again? What does it say? Just turns it back on you, and what does it say?
Um, the one that's saying not again, that voice.
I
It's
think the not again is like a bit of a perpetrator voice, but that it slips into the abandoning authority of voice. Like it kind of like not again. There's like no help for you there somehow.
right. Yeah, it feels very weak and helpless.
Mhm.
Um,
I
it
can't do it.
feel right. It feels like this is my role. This is my lot. This is what's of course. This is someone else is like doing this to me, and I have no strength. I have no recourse. There's no spontaneity. There's no creativity within this.
And there is no spontaneity and creativity within this lock triangle. Absolutely, there is not.
Right.
And so what we have to do is we have to decide which role are we going to address with your prescriptive role, Adam. Are we going to come into the abandoning authority and saying, well, no, yes, actually, you do have some strengths and abilities, and you could take some appropriate control of the situation?
Yes. Yes. That's what we're gonna do.
That one. Okay,
Yeah.
let's go right there. All right, let's not waste time, right? Okay, so we got the abandoning authority sitting in the middle of the stage, and now you walk up. How close do you get?
Close.
Close.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But look, you don't do it alone. All right, you've got your body double,
Mm-hmm.
you've got your wise voice, you've got that trust in yourself, you've got the proper coping skills. All right, so now you have what we call the protagonist cluster. So that's the positive things. All right, so now I want you to take some breaths with me, even move some movements, like you're like, ah, yeah, just really feel what do you want to say to this part that says, oh, not again, it won't ever stop. Right away, right?
I was like, I just want to say, dude, you know, you're okay. You're okay. Trust. I just feel like you need to trust yourself. You need to open your eyes and realize it's funny as you put those things up there. I'm thinking to myself, oh, wow, really? I have that? I have all those things?
Yeah, see, that's the power of concretization. And that's what experiential therapy does. It takes what's in here and it makes it concrete. You won't forget seeing your self trust as a stone.
Right,
If we hadn't done that, you would have a vague abstract idea that you were trying to install self trust in your being.
right,
You wouldn't have this concretization, this visual.
right,
And so, as people are saying, well, we have to keep our distance. How do we do groups? How do we do therapy? How do we do, and have the same as we do when we're sitting with people? Concretization makes a difference.
right, right.
Using this experiential work, even on, on video, makes it different than if we didn't have any of these objects. So back to self-doubt. No, I'm not back to self-doubt. Back to abandoning authority. You have to tell it how it's got to change its ways and what its new job is. Trust yourself to give it a new job. Because I'm going to turn it around because it looks like maybe it's starting to listen, you think? Halfway?
Yeah.
All right, let's see if we can give it and remember, you're standing in there with all of these. I've just got you up here close, but they're all around you. If I had 5 hands, I could hold them all up, but I haven't figured that one out yet. All right, so abandoning authority. Listen to me. I trust myself.
I trust myself. I'm ready. I'm ready to take this. I mean, I feel like I want to take this self-trust and hold it like, you know, just hold it like a football almost, like have it.
Right up there to your heart.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do this. I just feel more confident and ready to um, bring it on.
And so it is a nicer image to see your self-trust is coming toward your heart, even than your feet, just your toes touching it.
Yeah. Kate, you're good, man.
Well, I enjoy what I do, and I'm really enjoying this learning curve of taking what I do in real life with 20 to 50 to 100 people in workshops and trying to figure out how to make it not maybe quite as real,
Right.
closer to real than if I was just doing talk therapy.
Yeah, it's powerful. It's in a sense, it's a little, it's hard to do this. This is going to be seen by a lot of people, and in a sense that's kind of hard, but it I like the spontaneity of it and being able to put myself on the line, and because really, as soon as you put all those things up there, I was like, whoa, really? I have all those? And I was like, yeah, I do have those different, attributes and strengths, and
Right.
it's powerful.
And imagine if either in a Zoom call with multiple group members, they would all be saying these positive things to you.
Right.
And if you were in a group when we get back to human contact,
Right.
have people embodying those roles. And so they're all saying these positive things and washing your brain with
Right.
positive,
Right.
all,
Right. Right.
that's all positive psychology, just like having the totally new corrective emotional experience where you hear the things you need to,
Yeah.
things that are programmed. What I also wanted to mention, like the clinical aspect of TSM and how I used it with you, because it was quite clear we could have gone very deep with this piece of work. And that obviously is not clinically appropriate. You and I are both here on, your show with lots of people seeing things. It's appropriate for is always help you make that choice to not go too deep with the person and
Mhm.
to thus not to re-traumatize them.
Right. Right. All right, Kate. Well, what's the best way for people to get in contact with you?
Really, my email is best. I mean, there is the website, www.therapeuticspiralmodel.com, but really the best way is drkatetsi@mac.com. We're getting ready to do our second international free event early in June. We had 200 people at a meeting last week around the world, building strengths, hands around the world. So if people would like to email me, I'll put you on the mailing list.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, it's always a pleasure. And I never know what's going to happen when I have you on in an exciting way. And I so appreciate you coming on here and just giving of yourself.
Great. And we have to do a third session because we've done prescriptive roles. Now we've done trauma-based roles, and we have to go into transformative roles.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Right, weeks from now, and seeing how you've transformed and the world has too.
All right. Stay healthy.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Bye-bye.